Welcome to this explainer. Today we're unpacking the incredibly dramatic, ancient origin story of Mani. Our goal here is to provide a completely covered summary with high visual and cinematic quality. Because honestly, the source material for this tale reads exactly like a Hollywood thriller. We're going to see how one solitary youth navigated deep secrets, fierce ideological battles, and even survived a violent mob, all to break away from the very sect that raised him. Let's get right into it.
So, our epic narrative begins with a seriously bold, solitary declaration. Mani essentially stakes his entire identity on divine revelation. He's not out here claiming to have learned his wisdom from reading old books or from human teachers. No, he confidently asserts that his knowledge came directly from a higher power before the foundation of the world. That is a massive claim, and it totally sets the stage for a dramatic clash with the established traditions all around him.
Section 1. Secrets from the Twin. The Call to Adventure.
Now, while Mani was growing up hidden away inside a strict baptismal sect known as the Elkasites, he didn't just have a sudden realization. He was actually visited by a divine entity. According to the texts, he was assigned an unfailing, immortal companion known as the Twin. Just picture the visual of this for a second. A young man living secretly among a strict religious group, blending in perfectly, while privately communicating with this celestial twin whose sole purpose is to sever him from those exact traditions. It's a profound and incredibly dramatic call to adventure.
Moving right along to Section 2, Rejecting Earthly Wealth, the Temptation.
Every great origin story has to have a temptation, right? Well, for Meneceus, his arrives when a trusted elder named Cetios takes him aside in secret. Cetios actually digs up this massive hoard of earthly treasure and offers it to the young man out of love. But Meneceus? He completely rejects the dirt-covered gold. To him, earthly wealth only introduces sin. It's quite literally just a material burden left behind by dead men. He chooses the radiant, glowing divine treasure given by his father instead, which leaves the elder utterly astonished.
Immediately following this rejection, the narrative takes a highly visual and honestly pretty terrifying turn. Mani experiences a haunting vision. He sees the entire world completely transformed into a sea full of very dark, turbulent waters. He watches as tens of thousands of souls plunge down, bob up, and just spin endlessly in this black abyss. And amidst all this cinematic chaos, he sees himself walking safely above it all on a raised road made of pure light.
But then, right in the middle of that dark sea, Mani spots Cetios, the exact same elder who just offered him the treasure, drowning in the turbulent waters. Mani is obviously deeply distressed watching his mentor perish like this. But a voice cuts right through the chaos, commanding him not to mourn. The voice states, super bluntly, that Cetios is not of his elect. This vision is a ruthless, pivotal moment. It officially cements the undeniable ideological divide between Mani and the sect.
Which brings us to Section 3, the true meaning of purity, the confrontation.
Armed with these wild cosmic revelations, Mani decides to step up and directly confront the core rituals of a sect, specifically their obsessive daily bathing and the constant washing of their food. And he points out a really blunt, unavoidable reality. He argues that no matter how much you wash your food, the human body is still going to process it into blood, bile, and excrement. By highlighting the incredibly messy reality of human digestion, he effectively demolishes their foundational belief that physical water could somehow permanently cleanse a body made of flesh and matter.
So if water couldn't make you pure, what actually could? Well, Mani declared that true purity wasn't a physical act at all. Instead, it was achieved through knowledge, a literal metaphysical separation of light from darkness and life from death. He was taking this totally mundane daily physical ritual and elevating it into a massive cosmic spiritual battle. And for his community, this was an absolutely earth-shattering shift in perspective.
Section 4. Debating the Baptists. Rapid Escalation.
As you can imagine, this radical theology completely splits the community, and the tension just explodes. Mani gets summoned before a synod set up by the elder Sita, and he ends up brilliantly defending himself like he's the star lawyer in a high-stakes courtroom. When they accuse him of wanting to eat forbidden wheat bread and ditching their agricultural labor, Mani fires back that Jesus himself blessed and shared wheat bread. He reminds them that Jesus ate with tax collectors, praised Mary over Martha's household chores, and that the disciples traveled incredibly light without dragging along a heavy mill or oven. He masterfully uses their own deep reverence for the Savior to dismantle their strict rules.
But he doesn't stop with Jesus. He actually weaponizes the sect's very own historical archives against them.
He cites this totally surreal, almost comical moment from their history where the bathwater itself literally formed a shape of a man to yell at their founder, El-Kasai, for profaning it. Mani pulls out this bizarre anecdote to prove that their foundational daily bathing ritual is actually a direct defense against nature itself.
And he just keeps piling it on. He reminds the elders of another time when El-Kasai stored plows on the ground and the very earth cried out to him, asking why he was exploiting it. The story goes that El-Kasai was so moved by this that he wept and kissed the soil. Mani is using their absolute most sacred lore to prove that tilling the earth is a profound spiritual violation.
He even brings up the bizarre historical account of a date palm tree. Yes, an angry, speaking, homicidal tree that threatened a thief with death. His overarching point here is devastatingly clear. Your own revered founders suffered nature's wrath and experienced the earth crying out against your practices. So why in the world are you persecuting me for pointing out the exact same thing?
Finally, Section 5. The Final Commission, the Climax and Resolution.
So Mani completely and ruthlessly dismantling their sacred history? Yeah, that was the final spark that ignited the powder keg. The elders simply cannot handle his arguments, so they explode into a violent rage. What started as a theological debate instantly escalates into a physical assault. The mob of elders brutally beats Mani, grabs him by the hair, and actively attempts to strangle him. This young visionary is nearly killed by his own community, and he only survives because the master of the house, a man named Patikios, steps in at the absolute last second to shame them into letting him go.
Battered, bruised, and weeping, Mani retreats to pray. He expresses this deep, crushing isolation, the kind of despair only a visionary could feel when they realize that the entire world, with all its high and mighty rulers and established sects, is totally hostile to their truth. He feels completely alone, a stranger cast out by the only family he has ever known.
But right there, at that cinematic low point, his twin, that divine companion from the very beginning, appears once more to comfort him. And the twin delivers a sweeping, monumental mandate. Mani isn't meant for just one small room of angry Baptists. He's commanded to take his revelations to the entire globe. The twin promises to be his ally and protector wherever he goes, completely transforming his painful, lonely exile into a massive worldwide mission.
So, what should we take away from all of this? How exactly did an exiled, beaten-down kid go on to build a religious movement that would challenge empires across the ancient world? That's the lingering mystery, and it really shows the incredible power of unyielding conviction. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and, as always, keep questioning.